I just saw a snake. I'm not happy about that. Because they scare me. Oh my gosh, we're definitely making the beds high enough so the snakes can't get in them. Yeah, less mice. More snakes, less mice. I'd rather not have snakes or mice. It was like, they're creepy. Anyways. Hi guys. So we are starting a major gardening project today. And so some of you may have noticed that the scenery behind me is not my regular home. It's not my property, and you are right. So we recently bought a new property that we are going to start building on. And so today what we are doing is prepping the area for my garden. Now, it's really important that we start doing that now, because this building, I'm going to move over a little bit, this building here that is on the property is going to be teared down. And so before that happens, what we want to do is take all of the exterior wood material as well as the tin roof, and we're going to use that to build my new raised bed garden. And so I want to make sure that we lay out the landscaping fabric where we want it, so then when we start removing that material, we can actually start assembling those boxes and putting them where I need them to be. Now, before we start prepping the area, I'm going to do a walk around the property. I want to show you what this property looks like. I want to point out a couple things that we're planning on doing. I would love it if, as I'm walking around and I'm throwing out some ideas, and again, they're just ideas, right? That's the great thing about having a new property or a new space, is that you can have all of these ideas and you can change your mind at any time. And so I would love it if you could leave me some notes below in the comment section. Let me know what you would suggest I do in certain areas, and give me any tips if you've done this before. So let's get walking around the property. So our thoughts are, we're going to build the house right here behind this big tree. We're hoping to keep that tree on the landscape. It is quite beautiful, and we don't want to lose that. All along here, we'll clear out the smaller tree here, and we're going to build a garage / workshop that is detached from the house. And so I'm just going to walk over to the north side of the property here. And so I'm currently walking through the area where we're hoping to put the garage. And so I just want to take a minute to actually show you what the property line before the road actually looks like. And so you can see here that there is a lot of brush. They have done a lot of clearing over the past couple years. There's been a couple storms, and so they've just kind of piled it up there, which is fine with me because we are going to be using that to fill up my garden beds. And so what our thoughts are with this area here is, once we get it all cleared out, all along the edging of it, all along here, I'm going to be bringing raspberry plants from our current property and planting them all along the property line. I shouldn't say the property line, the grass line, because our property actually does go fairly close to the road on the other side of this brush. The other thing that we are going to be doing is putting our chickens over here. So we will be building a new chicken coop and run that's going to be slightly bigger than the one we have now, because everyone knows that chicken math is a real thing, and once you have chickens, you want more of them. And so what we're thinking is, this area over here gets a little bit more shade because of this tree here, and so we're going to put the coop right under here. And so directly behind me is where the house would be, so it would be very convenient for us to come out and grab the eggs every day and attend to the chickens. Now I want to talk a little bit about the area back there. behind all the brush. And so what I'm thinking, couple ideas. One is putting a chicken tunnel all through there. So we will be building that up to give us a bit more privacy from the road, but I would love to put a chicken tunnel in there so that the chickens can run free and get a little bit free ranging, do a little bit of free ranging during the day, as well as planting a lot of perennials in there, perennial food sources, and slowly make that space between our property and the road a food forest. And so if you have any ideas or suggestions on what you think we should be planting in there, please let me know. I know right off the top of my head, I want to plant Egyptian walking onions. I also want to plant some mushrooms. There's a couple different kinds that I want to plant in there. But that will be a bit of research that I need to do to see what I want to plant in there. So you can see that it starts to go up a little bit into a hill area. And so I just want to show you up here. So behind these posts here on the other side is where I'm going to have the garden. And so it is going to be roughly 75 feet wide and about 40 feet deep. We've calculated that that's about how much space I'm going to need to garden roughly what I'm gardening now. And so you can see these posts right here. So I'm talking about on the other side of that there. Okay, and so I'll just take you up here. And so you can see that there is another bunch of brush up there. Again, that will be something that we use in our garden beds, to use the Permaculture method, which is what we used when we built our recycled barn raised beds, and it is a huge cost savings. And so this is here, it's very open. We're actually going to be bringing a brush cutter in here today and prepping this area with some landscaping material. So I'm currently standing on the back property line and where my garden is going to be. And so this bit of brush that you see here, I want to thank the previous owners for collecting that all and actually putting it right by the garden area for me. And so you can see down here the posts that are there. There used to be some kind of fence there years ago. I suspect that they probably had some livestock that they had back here. And so this area here is going to be perfect for a very beautiful garden space. You can see where the current house is, and they have a current pool. That is all going to be ripped out, and where that house and pool are right now will probably be our new pool and patio. And so in the front of that will be where the house is. And so I just want to take you over here. And so this over here is a little bit of a mess. This is probably the messiest part of the property. And when I say that, what I mean is there are a lot of sumacs over here. And so for those of you that have properties that have sumac, you know that it is a very invasive plant and it's really hard to get rid of. The roots are extremely long, and when you pull out a sumac, often what happens is you break that root and another one pops up. And so I think we're gonna have to do some research on this, but my initial thoughts are, let's cut it all down. Let's fill it in a bit. It is a bit of, I don't want to call it a ditch, but there is a bit of a hill here that leads down into where the sumacs are. And then let's just keep trying to maintain it as a sumac-free area. But please leave some comments down below. Let me know if you've tried a few different things on getting rid of them and what worked for you. Okay, so this is a closer look at the existing house that is here with the pool area. And again, this is all going to be removed. So we do have a lot of work that needs to be done. And so we are not in any kind of major rush to do this. We are going to make sure that every step of the way we are taking the right step and not rushing it. And so here's a different viewpoint of those sumacs. And so I just want to show you here. And again, you know, what we're thinking is removing them, cutting them down, and just preventing them from sprouting or growing up by maintaining them at the ground level. And so here's a really good look at them. Some of them are really big. And so I don't know if you can hear that water running. So there is a bit of a pond here. And so it's really overgrown, and we are going to have to really clean it up. But what an amazing find. When we first found this property, we didn't know that this was here. And so what our thoughts are on this is we're thinking of enlarging it, removing all of this brush that you see here. We don't want any of that there. We want it to be open. And this is going to be a great water source for my garden in the summertime. It is also going to be an amazing skating area in the winter. And so I'm just going to keep walking down here just to show you. So it is pretty overgrown. We are going to have to clear it. The sound in the back that you hear is my husband starting up the brush cutter because we are going to be clearing that garden space. And so right here, this is the existing well for the existing house that is here. So we are going to research that. We're gonna get the water tested, see what the pressure is on that. If it isn't great, we'll have another well dug, and that will also be a secondary water source for my garden. And so you can see a lot of brush. There is a lot of brush here. There's a lot of fallen trees. Like I'm walking underneath some right now. Hopefully I'm not walking towards any snakes. I think that might be the one thing this property has that our old property didn't have, is a little bit more snakes, and that may be because of that pond. So I guess I'm just gonna have to get desensitized to them and maybe just have a few freakouts when I see them near my garden. Now I know a lot of you probably live in areas where you have some really scary snakes. I'm not a fan of any kind of snake. And so here's a bunch more brush. So this area in here, I was actually thinking that I might start a food forest here. And so this area here is south of the property. It will get the eastern and western sun. And I think, as you can see, it has tons of sun right now. I think that this would be a really awesome place to put a food forest. And I'm all about using every square inch of our property. Behind me, we have laid down all of the landscaping cloth that we're going to be laying down today. Currently, this space is 75 by 36, so it's a fairly big space, And this space here will be my garden space for the 2023 gardening season. And so as I mentioned earlier, we are prepping this now because we need to use the materials from the house that we are going to be tearing down. And so one of the things that we did realize as we were doing this project today is that we now know where we want to put our fruit trees. And so we are going to put it all along the property line and have those fruit trees behind the garden, and then that way when we're in the new house we'll be able to see how the garden is growing, and then we'll be able to see the fruit trees behind the garden. So I just think it's going to add a really pretty dimensional piece to the garden area. Now for those of you that are really interested in learning how to build a raised bed out of recycled barn material or recycled material, then you should be clicking on this video here, because we built our raised beds out of recycled barn material. Now for those of you that already have your raised beds already built and you are interested in getting some new chicks, then you should click on this video here to learn all about chicks. Thanks for watching.